Number 1, what is your name?
My name is Walter Morris, and I helped desegregate the U.S. Army.
Number 2, what is your name?
My name is Walter Morris, and I helped desegregate the U.S. Army.
Number 3, what is your name?
My name is Walter Morris, and I helped desegregate the U.S. Army.
Only one of these people is the real Walter Morris and has sworn to tell the truth. Now let's meet our panelists. Meshach Taylor, Paula Poundstone, from Malcolm in the Middle, Bryan Cranston, and from The Young and the Restless, Melody Thomas Scott. Here's the star of To Tell the Truth, John O'Hurley.
Thank you very much, and welcome to Tell the Truth, the only show where you get 3 sides to every story. Yours, mine, and theirs. A big hello to our celebrity panel, and it is now time to play To Tell the Truth. All right. You know, the way the game is played, all 3 of these gentlemen claim to be the real Walter Morris. 2 are lying, and only 1 has signed a statement swearing to tell the truth, and your job is to find out who that is. So please open the affidavits in front of you and read along with me as I read the sworn testimony of the real Walter Morris. I, Walter Morris, fought prejudice with fire. During World War II, African Americans were relegated to service jobs. But we wanted to fight the good fight. So at Fort Benning, we made ourselves into a company that we could be proud of. The 555 Parachute Infantry Company known as the Triple Nickels. We became smoke jumpers, fighting forest fires caused by bombs the Japanese floated across the Pacific. It took a while before the Triple Nickels received widespread acceptance, but we were eventually integrated into the 82nd Airborne Division, and it was a proud day when we marched in the Victory Parade down 5th Avenue with our fellow brothers in arms. Signed, Walter Morris. All right, panel and audience, all 3 of our gentlemen here claim to be the real American hero. Which one is it? We'll start the questioning with Meshach Taylor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. At ease, gentlemen. Number 1, who was the first black general in the U.S. Army?
The first black general in the U.S. Army was General Davis.
How about you, number 2?
The first black general was General Ben Davis.
Okay. Number 3, what president integrated the troops?
Roosevelt.
Yes, sir. Number 3, what division liberated the concentration camps in Europe? There was a black division.
Say that again?
That's okay.
All right, moving on to Paula Poundstone.
Number 1, what did the 82nd Airborne Division do?
They were paratroopers, and they jumped out of airplanes.
Number 2, where were the forest fires that you...
Fort Bragg is in North Carolina.
And number 3, when you guys formed the Triple Nickels, how did that come about? You're doing service jobs and then...
We observed the other pilots doing what they were doing, so we copied them, and that's how it happened.
And number 2, no, you didn't have to have, like, special permission to do that?
No, it was done on after our duties were over.
Okay, Bryan?
Number 1, what year was the parade that you celebrated?
1946.
1946. And number 2, what island in the South Pacific did you visit during your tour?
As a Triple Nickel, we did not go to the South Pacific.
Okay, I stand corrected. Number 3, what was the Enola Gay?
The Enola Gay?
Yes.
I don't know.
Number 2? You know.
It was an airplane. The name of the airplane.
Okay. And number 1, where was your boot camp?
Our boot camp.
We'll hold on that for just a second and move on to Melanie.
I will continue with that number 1. Where was that?
Fort Braggs.
Fort Braggs. And number 2, why were you called the Triple Nickels?
Because the Army designated us as a 555 Parachute Infantry Company.
Oh, I see. Makes sense to me now. Got it. Number 3, did you incur any injuries through the course of your service?
Yes, I did.
What were they?
Ankle injuries.
Ankle injuries. Number 2, did you?
No injuries.
No injuries. Lucky, lucky.
All right. The bell is sounded, indicating the time is up and time for our celebrity panel to lock in their votes. Is it number 1, number 2, or number 3? At this time, I'll ask our audience in the studio here to cast your votes as well. And I'll remind the audience at home that our team of challengers receives $1,000 for every incorrect vote. And we'll be back in a moment to find out how they voted and who the real American hero Walter Morris is right here on To Tell the Truth. All right, welcome back to Tell the Truth. One of our challengers is the real American hero, Walter Morris. Now, the other two are lying, and we'll find out now from our celebrity panel, beginning with Meshach Taylor. For whom did you vote?
Well, they have that military bearing about them, so they could have been all 3 of them. But I think number 3 tried to fool me with that ankle injury jumping out the airplane. That was a little too pat for me. No, and plus, I think he's a little young to have been in World War II. So I'm looking at number 1 and number 2, and there's something about number 1's bearing. I think that he is the one. Those are like actually parachute pulls.
Parachute, obviously. The plume of that parachute would be if we had a larger placard for you. Unfortunately, we don't. Paula?
You know what? This is like Let's Prove Paula's stupid show. None of them were in McHale's Navy. I think it was number 2.
Your knowledge of World War II history begins and ends with that wonderful show, doesn't it?
Sadly, there are some gaps in my body of knowledge. Sorry.
Bryan, for whom did you vote?
Number 1 mentioned it was Fort Bragg's, and I believe it's Fort Bragg. So I crossed him off my list. Number 3 didn't know what the Enola Gay was. Number 2 did, and I think he's our man. And just to prove what a lousy artist I am. The parachute.
Well, the effort was appreciated nonetheless. Melody, on to you.
I think number 3 is a bit too young, so don't be mad at us for thinking it's not you. It's for a good reason. Number 1 and number 2 are both so convincing, but I just have to look in the eyes and get this psychic thing going, and I say number 1.
Number 1 gets your nod. All right, it's time now to find out how the audience voted here in the studio. And pretty well overwhelming there. 71% said number 2 is our man. So it is time now to find out which one of our challengers is the real American hero. Will the real Walter Morris please stand up? Walter, have a seat. Have a seat. We'll be back with you in just a minute. Number 1, there were a couple that thought you were the guy. Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Preston Epps, and I'm a singer in a jazz band.
Singer in a jazz band. I think that's why Meshach went for you. He's a great jazz fan.
I didn't realize that.
And number 3, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Clifton Eddy, and I'm his drummer.
This. We got the boys in the band here. All right. Walter, that's a wonder. It's a very heartening story. We thank you very much for sharing it. Now, you have to forgive me for not being a student of World War II, but there was something here in the affidavit where you said the bombs were floated across the Pacific?
Yes, the Japanese were very innovative, and they've designed those balloons, paper balloons, and they attached incendiary bombs to the balloons, and they merely let them, the trade winds take them from Japan to the Pacific West Coast.
And these would cause forest fires all over the Northwest and California? And
yes.
How far in?
They launched over 9,000 of the balloons.
Wow.
And at least, they estimate at least 1,000 of them landed in the upper regions of the forest and started forest fires.
Well, once again, Walter, that's a story with an awful lot of heart. Thank you again for sharing with it. You have 2 incorrect votes, so our team of challengers will be splitting a jackpot of $2,000. And now it's time to take a look at what is coming up next on To Tell the Truth.
Number 2, I would think that it would be a little uncomfortable. Wouldn't you need like a little support somewhere?
Actually, when you're running naked, everything moves in a circular motion on your body.
That's coming up next on To Tell the Truth.
Number 1, what is your name?
My name is Ken Rach, and I run in the Raw.
Number 2, what is your name?
My name is Ken Rach, and I run in the Raw.
Number 3, what is your name?
My name is Ken Rach, and I run in the Raw.
Only one of these people is the real Ken Rach and has sworn to tell the truth.
Oh, it never ends, does it? Welcome back, panelists. If you please open your affidavits in front of you and read along with me as I read the sworn testimony of Ken Rach. I, Ken Rach, go the distance undressed. Combining two of my passions, I entered the Blue Bonnet Bear Dare Cross Country 5K, wearing nothing but my number, my shoes, and an ear-to-ear grin. While the race was fun, there was something else wanting besides wardrobe. So I rolled up my proverbial sleeves and became one of the organizers for several Southwestern nude races and trail runs. Well, the original Olympians knew one of the advantages to games without garments, even if you finish dead last, there's always a view when you're bringing up the rear. Signed, Ken Rach. All right, panel and audience, all three of our scantily clad gentlemen here claim to be the real nude runner. And which one is it? Well, it's your job to find out who that is. We'll start the questioning with the smiling Meshach Taylor.
Yeah, thank you so much, John. Okay, number 2, what races have you organized?
I've organized the Blue Bonnet Bear As You Dare race, which took place in Texas, and also the one up in Oregon, which is the 5K Bun Run.
Number 1, do you train for these races?
I run about 3 times a week. It's mostly a weekend warrior thing for me.
And how far do you run when you run?
1 mile each day. I do the real 5K on the weekends.
Okay, number 3, what are the dangers of a trail run?
You've got to make sure you don't trip over rocks or tree limbs.
Number 2, the dangers of...
All right, Paula?
Number 2, what are the dangers of trail runs?
I've found that poison ivy is a problem.
Sure. Number 1, there in the affidavit mentions other advantages to nude racing. What are the other advantages?
Well, just the freedom of running through the woods the way God intended. It's just a lot of fun.
Yes. Number 3, why is that legal? I thought you couldn't do that.
Most nude runs take place in private nudist resorts. On the private land, you can do what you want.
Okay. Bryan?
Number 1, what is the wall? In running terms?
Well, when you hit the wall, you basically can't go any further. It's a point of exhaustion.
Okay. Thank you. Number 2, how long is a marathon?
The 5K is approximately 3.1 miles.
Okay. Thank you. And number 3, who was Steve Prefontaine?
Steve Prefontaine was a runner on the U.S. Olympic team several years ago.
Okay. Number 1, are you married?
No, I'm single, but I'm seeing a lot of someone right now.
I'm the setup man for that joke.
Bottom bump on the melody.
Number 1, how old were you when you first started doing this?
Running in general 15 years ago. I'm 45 now. I was 30 then, and the nude running was about 10 years ago.
And were you a nudist, per se, before the...
No. The first nude run I did was the first time in a nudist resort for me.
Okay. Now, number 2, being a woman, I can't completely relate, but I would think that it would be a little uncomfortable. Wouldn't you need, like, a little support somewhere? Or that you enjoy the feeling of just kind of flying?
Actually,
Elegantly
when you're running naked, everything moves in a circular motion on your body.
And with that...
I never knew that.
And with that, the bell has sounded, indicating the time is up. You are going to be voting without further discussion, I might add, for number 1, number 2, or number 3.
I honestly can't do it without conversation.
And I'll ask our studio audience now to cast their votes as well. I'll remind our audience at home that we're going to pay $1,000 for every incorrect vote. We'll be back in a moment to find out how they voted and who the real Ken Rach is right here on To Tell the Truth. Welcome back to Tell the Truth. One of our challengers is the real propeller boy, for lack of a better term. Ken Rach. And we'll find out who that is very shortly. But let's start with Meshach Taylor. For whom did you vote?
Thank you, John. Well, number one had some good answers, but I don't think that that's quite long enough to run the train for a 5K, 1 mile, 3 times a week. Number 3 was very good, but I think that number 2 really has a runner's physique. He's got a low body fat, very lean, and he looks like he's the one. So number 2, and there he is running.
There he is. Paula?
This is wrong. I play basketball without a bra and nothing moves circularly for me. Realize it's a different part and try not to picture it. But anyways, I don't know. Number 1 just seems so free and natural and comfortable in his body. I run in a snowsuit. There he is, moving circularly.
Oh. Paula Poundstone, always the moral barometer of To Tell the Truth. Bryan Cranston.
Well, there's few people in the world you really want to see naked, running or otherwise. But be that as it may, we have to do this. Number 2 didn't answer my question about the marathon, 26 miles. I think anybody who's a runner knows that. Number 3 is too right. There's something wrong about being too right. I'm going to go with number 1 because he came up with that joke, and I also to show off my poor artistic ability again.
That's a run. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Yes. Melody, for whom did you vote?
This is very, very tough. Having started out, my character started out as a stripper. I do understand that circular motion thing. However, the thing about the marathon kind of threw me off on that. Number 1 seems so sincere and happy with it all that I think that it might be him.
All right. It's time to check in and see what our audience thinks. Oh, well, I felt differently. Nearly 50% said number 3. So there's an X over there. Everybody got a vote. It's time now to find out which one of our players here is the real nude runner. So will a real Ken Rach please stand up? Slowly. All right, Ken, have a seat there. We'll be back to you in just a second. Number 1, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Kevin Mulhern, and I'm a computer programming consultant.
Thank you very much for playing. Did very well. Jeff Foxworthy, who are you and what do you do?
My name is Kerry Tabaman, and I work at a law firm.
You do. Wonderful. Well, Ken, to say that this is peculiar really is an understatement. If I could swing a deal with Nike, where would you like the swoosh planted?
It'd have to be tattooed.
Wow. Well, it was a very interesting story. Thank you. Thank you all for playing. You did garner 4 incorrect votes. That's $4,000 that will be split among the team of challengers, which, of course, brings us sadly to the end of another To Tell the Truth. And I want to say a big thank you to the celebrity panel. Meshach Taylor, Paula Poundstone, Bryan Cranston, Melody Tyler Scott. We'll see you next time right here on To Tell the Truth. Bye for now.